market. And here we go. September was green. September was nice. We liked it. There were many altcoins pumping, and one of them pumped the most. My favorite one, actually, which is HEX. So, yeah, here we are, in October. Things are looking nice. Things are going well. The growth is organic. Many people reported good information. Some other people were in disbelief and thought that centralized entity was buying all of those altcoins. But no, if you look on chain, and I look on chain, it looks great. And a lot of people, a lot of bigger holders are buying HEX. And another great thing is that HEXbase.de is live again. And HEXbase.de is my analytics site that I was building, and it was live before in 2023, but it was quite different. I can tell you a little bit about the history of HEXbase, but everybody who knows me for the analytics, and I call my analytics HEXbase, the software that I developed, as well as now the website. And if you go to hexbase.de, what you see is the following. Bam! It is a very simple website. So the analytics on it are screenshots, and these are reports that I also publish on x.com. But many people are not on X. And some of my friends said, I really love your analytics, but x.com is just like so overwhelming. There's so much stuff going on. So please just like make it available somewhere else. So yeah, I made a website where you get the full report that I do usually, which is multiple tweets over the whole month. And I have it here. So when you go to hexbase.de, the September report, the current one, is readable. So you can kind of scroll through. There are multiple chapters and multiple sections. By the way, I just love this net flow chart, and the net flow is going to the right. There's more and more positive value coming into HEX staking. But anyway, so here you see another section, and here on the top you can click on the section which you see in blue, which is adoption, yield, penalties, and supply. And if I move myself a little bit away, you see staking there. Those are the sections, and you see the September report headline above. And then you have like a little menu for quarter and monthly reports. These are the current ones that I'm doing. So all the analytics, all the charts are done by myself. And what we have is currently August and September for the monthly month. So when you click October, you see it's not available yet, but we can click on the Q2, and it takes us to the Q2 report, which is a shorter one, and Q3 will follow shortly after. And this is just all about HEX, and it's having both. It has PHEX and EHEX. And when you look at my charts, you can just see like EHEX and PHEX is used over and over. They're both used. They're not going away. They are used in tandem. So also the recent price moves kind of like confirm that. They move together. They drop together. They rise together. So this is hexbase.de, and I want to continuously support it. But how did this happen? How do these analytics come to life? And so a little history for people who don't know that much or just recently followed me. Um, HEXbase is a project of mine that started in 2021. And I was like, I wanted to be able to see into HEX from all different aspects. So I built my own way of restructuring the blockchain data about HEX. And I'm extracting it right from my nodes that I operate here next to me. And I just extract data, restructure it, and then in a way that I can very easily put together all sorts of charts. And that was so powerful. The first version I made it open source, but it's still open source, but it is just very hard to use. It's on my GitHub. But since then, it just improved very much. And to make it usable for others, I was thinking a lot about that, and I wanted to do it. But yeah, the open source version is a dev version, and you need to build on top of it. Then at one point I thought, okay, I want the charts to be hosted for everybody to see. People encouraged me. People said that there will be donations, to support the website and things like that. I didn't believe in donations, and it turned out donations were not the way to go, because nobody really donated. Maybe $1 or something like in value, or two, something like that. So really nothing substantial. But I went live anyway, and I started, using my own resources to run it. But because I built like a very sophisticated back end that can support all sorts of analytics at the front end, so it's not made very efficient for the certain charts, it can generate all sorts of interesting charts. But this backend was very expensive. Imagine block explorers. They have also a backend that is expensive because it needs to store a restructured data. Not like other statistical websites who try to pull from graph nodes. Anyway, this is technical. So there was a lot of costs in 2023, and for me, and I was even selling some of my crypto resources to support that in anticipation of, this is more value that it can bring to the whole community, right? But then I was seeing, with the Pulse chain launch and the drop in price, that this was not going in the right direction. And I had my theories that we will drop much further. So I'm like, it's not worth to run this very sophisticated thing with all of these costs, especially for myself as an individual. So I took it down. So hexbase.de went down. I even tried to have like a version. I asked the people, should there be a paid version for you to be able to look into things? Yeah, people didn't want that. So I'm like, all right, we don't do that. We don't host all of that. So what can we do instead to bring all of these insights directly to everybody in the best cost-efficient way and free for everybody? And that's when I was like taking down the whole thing, and I was like, I will produce charts locally, screenshot them, and start like showing them publicly. And that's how actually like people started to like follow me for these information that I was providing like publicly. And it was very clear to me that HEXbase.de in that form wasn't feasible. It had even features like what the Staker app had. So you were able to paste in all sorts of addresses, and it was showing you like, your HEX portfolio value and liquid and staked. It even had a little chart of expiring stakes per month and per year for you to have like detailed information. So that was pretty cool. and I would still love to have that for everybody to have it available. Uh, Maybe in the future, um, but it all depends on these kind of resources. But I definitely wanted to bring HEXbase back, and I found this is the best way possible because I don't want anybody to pay for anything. It's just, my passion to bring all of these things. So when it's my work um, only, which should be high, which I value highly, but I do it by myself, and then there's no extra hosting or very small amount of extra hosting that I have to pay for. Then I can have these screenshotted reports for you. And that's how HEXbase came back right now. Because I think now there's a great Hex reporting schedule that I bring every month. And I want to continue to do that and have HEXbase available for you. And now it's back. And I think people like it. I mean, let me know if it makes sense to have all of these reports here, and I'm working on them to make them even better. And for any other kind of services, for your analytical services, there are so many other cool websites which go in a different direction and provide you different information. So hexfire.io is a really great one, and is optimizing differently. Of course, Hex Scout is also a great application for your mobile phone where you can look up the value of your stakes and of your portfolio, and has great onboarding. So yeah, we have many, and we had in the past many great Hex Analytics websites. But this is a little history about HEXbase and what I'm doing and how I approached things in the past. And by taking it down in 2023, I was like, all right, I don't use my crypto resources. I don't need to sell crypto to run it. And I think that was overall beneficial just for everybody. Yeah. Aside from that, recently I was at the blockchain conference. I did some reporting on that. I hope you enjoyed what I was trying to do there. I was talking to all of the participants there, to some of the speakers. I spoke to a financial industry representative people, and we're talking generally about blockchain technology. And of course, I always brought up Hex and Pulse Chain and all sorts of related information to that. And the most shocking thing was really that a lot of people just did not have a clue of what Hex was, and they never heard about it. So yeah, I mean, I have to say that the blockchain conference was very financial industry leaning conference. So it was not like other conferences where there's like more like crypto influencers going. So interestingly, these people, many of them are not so active, for example, on Twitter. Or on YouTube. So they use other information sources. And those other information sources were not very nice to Hex in the last 4 or 5 years. And they were hiding Hex and being negative about it whenever they showed anything related to it. So all of these people just did not know that Hex existed, and then it was like top 3 market cap, and that it was the best performing asset of the last cycle. So I was very happily speaking about it, and they were very surprised, and they were actually interested, so they were not really dismissive. They did not have any negative feelings towards it. So that is just something that was also eye-opening, that we are in a certain bubble, we are on a certain platform with other people on other platforms with other information. They just don't know about it, so they just learned about it for the first time and were curious about how it functions and why it was banned and not and why it was hidden from other people. Um, yeah. Other takeaways from that conference was that a lot of people like, especially the European regulation, because it gives clarity to companies and institutions of how to deal with things. I'm not a big fan of all of the things, but at least the kind of consensus and also the regulatory clarity around self-hosting things is good. And it goes in a good direction. So you're allowed to run your own software and things like that. In principle, of course, there are cases running that are trying to go against that. But, that principle is confirmed by other people who are working in the financial industry or working with regulatory bodies in Europe. So that is something positive. So yeah, this is like a short report on that. That was the European Blockchain Convention, if I didn't mention the name of it. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. And now let's go and continue this second half of the bull market. It really started very well. Of course, a lot of people are looking and they're like, okay, maybe it pumped now, but it won't. But the growth is there. We have just so much advantages in how strong our community is, and our reach is really one of the biggest. Yeah, so I think we'll continue, and I will keep on making videos, just not so often as somebody might want me to do them, because it takes some preparation and some time. Especially it takes time away from my charts and from my data insights, which I think are some of the most valuable things that I brought to the HEX community. So like, subscribe, and do all of those things if you want more of this. There's also another project that I did for Hexicans, which is called liquidhex.eu. It's an extra kind of reward, a hex fork for the strongest believers of hex. Some people didn't like it, but yeah, nobody has to like everything. But I still maintain the view, if you want to store value, get into hex. If you get that additional reward of liquid hex, then you can show your appreciation by minting it and holding it. And you can learn more about it at liquidhex.eu. And for my Hex Analytics content, every month, every quarter, there are nice new reports on HEXbase.de. We're back, baby. Yeah.